Welcome to the Minnesota Regional Prevention Coalition video series. This series is brought to you by the Minnesota Regional Prevention Coordinators and the Minnesota Department of Human Services Alcohol and Drug Division. My name is Dr. Bill Geary, and this video series is hosted by Global Evaluation Solutions. This series is designed to help Minnesota prevention coalitions improve their understanding of evaluation. So, let's get started. Knowing what to do with all the data that's been collected can be a challenge for some coalitions. So today, I'm going to describe a method for prioritizing your evaluation findings. Today's agenda starts with a discussion of prioritizing your coalition's goals, followed by a method for organizing and aligning your data to meet those goals. This is followed by some conversation starters for your evaluator on this topic, and finally, I will offer a summary and some next steps. I like to think about prioritization as a journey. Not only is it important to know where you are, but it's also important to know where you want to go. Our journey starts with thinking about where you want to go, incorporating information about where you are, and thinking about the best route we can take to get there. The route we're going to take is a four-step process, starting with assessing stakeholders' needs, ranking goals, aligning data to those goals, and discussing outcomes. The first step is making sure the coalition and its stakeholders are on the same page regarding the data that should be prioritized. This is a conversation that your coalition may have already had or are continuing to have, in which case you are probably already on the same page. If you haven't had this conversation, or the conversation has gone stale, you definitely want to include them in the conversation at this point. When having this conversation, it's important to stay focused on how specific data can or is being used by the stakeholder. Staying focused on the data's practical value will help you with the prioritization process by eliminating unneeded data. The next step is to think about where you want to go by prioritizing your coalition's goals for the upcoming year. This step will help you think about how the data you have collected will have meaning for the organization. I'm going to focus on 6 primary goals that organizations typically claim are related to their evaluation needs. They are maintaining compliance, which refers to compliance with rules, regulations, etc. For some grant recipients, this goal might address specific data that you need in order to maintain your funding. However, it is also important to remember that you can maintain compliance without making it your top prioritized goal. The second is acquisition of resources and refers to the funds or assets you need to either keep doing what you are already doing or to expand your efforts. Learning refers specifically to processes and practices focusing on improving your organizational capacity. Motivating refers to keeping your current or potential stakeholders active and vested in the effort. Promoting refers to both demonstrating your issue's importance to the community overall, as well as the coalition's specific relevance in the community. Finally, improving refers to making sure your strategies are effectively and efficiently creating community-level outcomes. This second step will require your coalition to think carefully about what they hope to accomplish in the upcoming year. The template demonstrated on this slide should help you through this step. Now that you know where you want to go, it's important to organize your data so you know where you are. To use this template, first transfer the rank assigned to each goal in the previous step to the appropriate column headers on this sheet. We would then simply list our data in the first column and place check marks at points of intersection between the data and its accompanying goal. The final row is the sum of the goal rankings for each piece of data. Please refer to your local RPC for more information on using this form. This step will allow us to see exactly which data aligns with which goals and allows us to generate a ranked list of prioritized data. In addition, this step will reveal any gaps we may have in our data so we can plan for future data collection that can be used to help the coalition achieve its goals. The 3 steps I have just described provide a great starting place for your prioritization conversation. However, I realize that the systematic processes presented here might have some flaws for your needs. The final step, then, is to have conversations with stakeholders and coalition members about the outcomes of this prioritization process. There are two primary points of conversation. First, this will help you identify any areas of consideration that have been missed. For example, your coalition may think that data with a low prioritization should actually be ranked higher. Second, a coalition can only prioritize a certain amount of data. This final step should help you determine cutoff points for data prioritization. For example, you may want to look for goals with lots of supporting data as opposed to those that have very little data. You may find that you have more data for certain goals than you actually need, or that you have highly prioritized goals with very few supporting data points. To help you make use of your coalition evaluator in this process, I've developed some conversation starter questions to ask. First, ask them about getting an organized list of the data you're currently collecting for the coalition. Second, ask them what kinds of coalition measures or data can be used to track your progress in achieving your organizational goals. Third, you can ask them what they can do to help specific stakeholders better understand how they can use the coalition's data to achieve their mission or goals. Finally, have them make data-driven recommendations about what goals or data the coalition should be focusing on. To summarize then, I offered a four-step process that will help your coalition prioritize your existing data, followed by some questions to ask your evaluator in order to help you through this process. I've also provided templates that will help you move through the process. A good place to start this process would be to form a working group that can take the lead. Of course, you will want to create a common language and approach by providing them with the information presented in this video. You will also want that group to reach out to your local RPC. Your RPC will have the recommended templates as well as specific instructions for their use. Another important step is to think about how the coalition will either begin or continue this conversation with important stakeholders. Finally, we should remember that prioritization occurs for a reason. Once prioritized, there will have to be some kind of communication on how the data will be utilized to achieve the prioritized goals. Since many of the goals deal with the relationship between the coalition and its stakeholders, it's important to have a communications person participate in this process so they can focus on how the data can most effectively be shared in order to achieve each goal. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about this video or any other coalition issue, please feel free to contact us. I know that coalition work can be very challenging, but please remember the words of the Eagles who sang, "Take it easy, don't let the sound of your own wheels drive you crazy." Be well, everybody.